All right, guys, welcome to Movieverse Movie News, episode 6. Greg and Jason have joined me today, and we have a little bit of a different setup. So we're going to go ahead and get into our news topics. These are 4 big news topics that we picked from this past week that we're going to go ahead and kind of dive into and kind of explain them. So the first topic, Chiwetel Ejiofor was cast in Doctor Strange as Baron Mordo. I got that name right. I'm so excited. All right. So basically, Baron Mordo is the opposite of Doctor Strange. He's like his arch enemy, and we have now confirmation that Chiwetel Ejiofor will be in the movie as Baron Mordo. So, Jason, what are your first thoughts on this casting?
Well, it's never a bad thing to cast talent, which Chiwetel is an incredible actor. He should bring a lot to this film, and I'm really excited to see if he's actually going to be a villain or they might, switch up.
Or an antagonist.
Yes, exactly.
Because they did say that he's kind of going to be an amalgamation of different characters from the universe, but his main role will be as Baron Mordo.
Yes, and I can, it should be really fun to see him and Benedict Cumberbatch go up against one another in this movie.
Yeah, Greg, what are your thoughts?
I mean, the thing is, it's just like you said, it's casting talent. In the kind of the announced or kind of rumored cast that are all very dramatic, heavy actors.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton, Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his name. I mean, he was having nominated for 12 Years a Slave. He has a very commanding presence on the screen.
Yeah, me personally, I'm super excited for this movie. I don't have a lot of background knowledge on Doctor Strange and his storyline. I did watch, there was an animated movie that Marvel came out with back in 2006 or 7, somewhere around there, which was very interesting, and it kind of gave you a look at what they could possibly do with the visuals and stuff like that. But aside from that, it's just like you said, they keep adding more talent to this movie, and it's not always a guarantee that the movie's going to be good, but it's not a bad thing that you have Doctor Strange by Benedict Cumberbatch and Chiwetel Ejiofor and Tilda Swinton. All those people are very well-known, distinguished actors, and I feel like with this movie they can do it.
One thing I want to add on top of that is by getting these well-known, well-respected actors, it kind of gives a sense of believability to this world.
Yeah,
because they are going to give their whole performance for this kind of quote-unquote magic.
Yeah,
which if done poorly can really turn fans away.
Yeah, and it definitely draws interest in for the average moviegoer because they do know who these actors are. They might not know them by name, but they might be like, "Oh, that's that guy from 12 Years a Slave," or Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, everybody knows him.
It's Sherlock.
So, so everybody knows Benedict Cumberbatch, and maybe not Tilda Swinton's name, but they will recognize her from other movies, and they're all great talent. So yeah, this movie just keeps getting more and more promising, and I can't wait to see it. Hopefully we get to see something from Doctor Strange here soon, because it will come out in 2016 in the fall, I think, or November or something like that. So hopefully we'll start seeing some now we started filming and stuff like that. Hopefully that happens soon, and we'll get some kind of promo images and stuff like that. All right, moving on to our next topic. So El Mayimbe has his new outlet of Heroic Hollywood, and he kind of posted an article claiming that he knows and he's really good with his sources. He's usually spot on with things that he's reporting about the quote-unquote real reason why Marvel is not showing up at San Diego Comic-Con International this year. And basically the source is claiming that Marvel has basically said that they're not going because they don't have something to compete with the DC panel. Apparently the DC panel is going to be 6 figures put into it, and just going to be 4 movies with Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, Justice League, and is it Aquaman? Was that the 4th one? It's
either Aquaman or Wonder Woman.
Well, I said Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay, well then
Wait. Okay, yeah, you're right. Wonder Woman. Yeah. So they have these 4 big movies, and so DC is supposed to have this huge one. So people are saying that Marvel is afraid, or El Mayimbe said they just didn't have enough to compete with it. Greg, what are your first thoughts on this article? Greg, what are your thoughts on this first article and kind of like what other people are saying about it?
And it seems spot on to what I've seen in other news outlets, like Hollywood Reporter reports the same thing, IGN reports the same thing. Like, just Civil War has done maybe a month of filming, which there's a lot of, they don't have anything to really show. Ant-Man's completely done, and is coming out like the next week. So it's like there's kind of not much that Marvel has lined up. I don't think it's a sense of fear because they believe in their property so much that they don't need to push hard at a convention like Comic-Con to stay relevant or anything, or to try and steal publicity or anything like that. They believe in their product, and they're going to show it when they think it's ready. They're not going to comply to somebody else's timetable.
All right. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it would have been worse if they would have gone to this Comic-Con and they just, kind of did what DC did last year, and they kind of just missed the ball. So skipping this one, they're not afraid because they want DC to be successful, because they want the craze of the superheroes to keep on going. Yeah. But I have no problem, if they're not ready, they're not ready. They believe in their property, just like you said, Greg, so much so that when they want to release their stuff, they will. Whatever art it is, whatever trailers or anything like that.
Yeah, and something that El Mayembe did say was that he doesn't think Marvel's afraid, and that's not what his article was saying. He was just saying that as far as content that they have to show people, they didn't have what they thought was necessary to live up to what Marvel expects themselves to have for an event like Comic-Con.
And there's also, I saw another story that was talking about this thing, and this is not the first time that in this MCU era that Marvel has skipped a Comic-Con panel.
Yeah, like I think it was before.
So it was 2011.
Yeah.
They skipped their panel. They were still there on the floor, but they didn't have a Hall H panel.
The only thing that they'll probably miss is Ant-Man, pushing Ant-Man.
Well, yeah, but Comic-Con's only like a week before Ant-Man. So I feel like at that point it's like, I think it'd be a little bit too late to have an Ant-Man panel.
Yeah, you're kind of already doing your Ant-Man push now.
And which we'll talk about that later. But but as far as my thoughts on this, Marvel's not afraid at all. If anything, they could be keeping it for, they may. People are saying they're going to keep everything for D23. No, they could. But I think the more realistic outcome of this will be that Marvel will host their own event like they did last year in October, because they can control like what media is in there. They can control the crowd a little bit more, and they can kind of make it like what Marvel's is known for, kind of like a rock concert of a thing.
It could be Star Wars Celebration, but for Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope that they actually do that for Marvel. I think that'd be really awesome to have that kind of like Marvel celebration where you can go pick up Marvel comic books, like all that stuff.
Yeah, and especially for this next phase of movies that they're not well-known properties like Inhumans, and that'll be a great marketing push as well too.
Yeah, and one other article that I made for the show notes for this is that it's been reported, actually confirmed, that Star Wars will be at Comic-Con, and they will have a panel in Hall H. So before we move on, I just want to kind of maybe put this out there that the reason why Marvel isn't there, it could also be a corporate decision from Disney to push Star Wars to the forefront, because they do have The Force Awakens coming out this winter before there is, Civil War coming out next summer. I mean, that would make sense to me as far like from a corporate standpoint. As for the fans, you're like, well, why don't we have all that there? But then Disney's like, well, we can only put so much money into Comic-Con, which
again, Marvel wants to, or Disney wants to make a splash at Comic-Con. Yeah, they want headlines, just like Warner Brothers and DC does. Yeah. They're like, they would, if they put out Marvel and they put out Star Wars, they're not serving. They're not serving each other. They're not serving each other that well. So especially since Marvel doesn't really have anything, like we said, that you push one or the other, and so Star Wars is the one that has information that people that they have information to give the people. Yeah. All right, we're going to have to move on to the next topic. Our next topic is that Matthew Vaughn has stated that he is coming back for Kingsman 2, which is great news in my opinion. Kingsman 1 was
A great, fun action movie. It was a rated R action movie, and it was awesome. Great. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Really excited. I don't. Is the comic done? Is Mark Millar actually done with the next?
The comic that was based on the first one was just like a 6 or 8 series run, and that's it. Supposedly he is working on writing a whole new set, but who knows when that will be finished.
Okay. Well, the movie kind of just stuck around there in the box office list, the top 5. It kind of ranged, and it's just a great movie. It was a great time going to the theater to see it. They're kind of missing with a certain somebody who may or may not be returning in the next movie. But I'm excited to see it. I know Edgerton wants to do it, and he's really excited about it. So, with Matthew Vaughn there, they really. It really should be a good deal.
Great.
And that Kingsman was like the surprise movie of the year for me. Like, I loved it beginning to end. So just to see that Matthew Vaughn is working on Kingsman 2 and is working on it to the point where he's not going to do it unless he likes it.
Yeah.
I mean, he has said, like, if we get a script that's good enough, we'll make it. So, like, that gives me respect for him and encouragement and excitement for the property going forward.
Yeah, it's always good when the talent and the director and all the people who surround that movie say, we're only going to make this movie if we think it's good. Because sometimes you feel like the studios are just kind of going through the motions, like, oh, we need another sequel, and maybe we'll just last off the name alone. So so it's always promising when they talk about wanting to make a very good sequel. All right, so moving on to this last big topic for the day. Over the past week, we've had multiple articles come up talking about Spider-Man shortlists and the finalists and
short list gets longer then shorter again.
Yeah, I have 3 articles here on the show notes, and then last night another one dropped, and I'm just like, I'm not adding another one. So the last article that I put on this list was talking about that they had it down to 2 actors, and it was Tom Holland and what was the other one? Charlie Rowe. Rowe. Tom Holland and Charlie Rowe. And then they came back and they said that there's Charlie Plummer and Matthew Lynch or whatever. So I wanted to bring up this topic, one, because I wonder if there's these reports are, since they're conflicting, if maybe Marvel's just throwing stuff out there to kind of leave the general public in a state of we don't know what's going on type of thing. Great.
It could also be just a sense to try and test the actors themselves, because one of the people on that list was the Aja Butterfield, who supposedly got his name removed because he was bragging about getting the Spider-Man role. Yeah. So we kind of, Marvel and Sony and Marvel want to make sure they pick the right person for the long haul.
Agreed.
So if they pick someone who kind of acts like they're better than the process or, more important than the role, they don't want that person to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, or if they have just kind of I hate to say movie star personality, but an ego. If they have an ego, then it kind of makes you worried about whether or not they're gonna give it their 100% every day, or give it 100% to go into that role. Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think another big part of this is the report that Sony and Marvel, aren't 100% on the same page with an actor. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but it which company has the say in who's cast?
I think the final say is Sony, but if Sony is smart, they will listen to Kevin Feige.
Oh, absolutely.
And Marvel, because Marvel is being they're knocking it out of the park with every single casting choice that they've made. We just talked about Chiwetel Ejiofor. That's perfect. Well, I wouldn't say perfect casting for that character, but what it does is it gives it. They're getting great talent for these roles, and I have no doubt that so far with every movie that we've seen, I haven't had a problem with any of the casting for these characters that they've had. And I would, if I was Sony, I would go with what Marvel says. And I think
some of the reason why there hasn't been an announcement yet is both of them are trying to figure out their order in the pecking system. Marvel wants to see how much they can push Sony to do what they want, and Sony's probably pushing back somewhat to see how much they can get away with.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm sure
I would hate for that to be the case though, because that would mean that they're not collaborating. They're just trying to like see who has the bigger brass. Like, you know,
well, I'm not saying that is like that, but I'm saying like kind of there is more of it's still like a kind of like a getting to know each other type of thing. Like a lot of like give and take. Like, you know, where is it kind of worth it to push what Sony wants? Where is it worth it to listen to Marvel and do what they want?
If I have anything to say about this whole Sony and Marvel agreement that they have going on is, Sony, you've had your chance to kind of make all the creative decisions
twice.
Twice with two, you know, with a reboot. And if you don't take what Marvel has to offer you as far as like their creative thinking in the process, then why did you make the deal to begin with?
Yeah.
Like obviously you made that deal because you felt that it was necessary that they come in and help you. So let them help you, right?
You open the door, now let them in. I mean,
go ahead and make your decision.
Yeah, so
we're tired of seeing all these rumor articles.
So exactly. So we have we have these, you know, these 4 actors that are up for the role again. I'm sad to see Asa Butterfield out. If that is truly how he was acting, then that's probably for the best. But he was the favorite for a long time, and I've seen the most of him. So hopefully, but if Marvel choose one of these other actors, then I have complete faith in it. As long as it is not that kid who looks like he's 9 years old, because he's sitting with that picture like. And I don't want a 9-year-old Spider-Man. So any of the other ones I'm fine with. All right, so that'll do it for the big news topics of the week. Now we're going to get into some I wouldn't say they're smaller topics, but we're going to spend a little bit less time on them. So we're going to call these quick hits. So the first one that we have is Jon Bernthal Cast as the Punisher for Daredevil season 2. Personally, I think that this guy is awesome. He's been in Fury. I know that he's been in The Walking Dead. I personally haven't watched the TV series, but I do know that from Fury, he kind of plays this. He's a dick, and you can see kind of like the unstableness of the character that he portrayed in that movie. So I feel like playing Frank Castle, who's this guy who's not afraid. He's not a hero really. Because he will kill people if they are criminals
outside the law.
If they are criminals, he has no problem with killing them and some in some gruesome ways. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on Jon Bernthal Cast?
It's just a great casting. I mean, watching him in Fury, you're right. He did play just a dick, and it was awesome to see. And hopefully, you know, with this Netflix deal, it can maybe branch him off, maybe into a Netflix deal of his own.
Well, you know, we have heard that. That the guy playing Daredevil, Matt Murdock, his contract, he has room for movies on his contract. So hopefully they do the same thing with Jon Bernthal as Frank Castle, because hopefully we can get Daredevil and Punisher into some scenes in Civil War. Nice. Maybe because, you know, in the Civil War comic book, when Spider-Man chooses, he starts on one side and he chooses another side, and Frank Castle is the one who finds him and brings him to safety, basically. Greg, what are your thoughts on this casting?
Oh, I think he's a great choice to play Punisher. I actually love the Punisher character.
Yeah.
I probably like the movie, the 2004 movie with Thomas Jane more than most people did.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just like that, you know, that he's a very vigilante, you know, hero or anti-hero.
Yeah.
And so just to see that, you know, that they are finding a place for him in this more family-friendly Marvel universe, you know, is...
Well, a Netflix series isn't very family-friendly.
But still, it still ties in with the family-friendly version.
And so it can in a way, yeah.
And granted, I know he's not really... I bet he's not going to leave Netflix.
Oh, no, yeah. You know, he might make it. That's what I'm saying. He might like make a cameo or like show up
or
in
like
some
Infinity
scenes.
War or something like that.
But he's not going to have a lot of. I would say he probably won't have like a lot of dialogue and backstory in the movies if he's in them. But what they can do with Netflix, because it is, you know, like the first season of Daredevil was a 13 episode series, is they can kind of do what like they did with Kingpin, where they had just a full Kingpin episode about his like backstory. They could do that with Punisher.
And they did such a good job developing Kingpin that, you know, you could easily. Like, so the only thing I'll be curious about is, do we see him as Frank Castle?
Yeah.
Or do we see him, like, already established as the Punisher?
We'll probably see him established as a Punisher and then do flashbacks like we did with Daredevil. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that if you don't give a backstory to Punisher, a lot of people aren't going to... Well, people who don't know the character aren't going to be as welcoming to him because he just does kill people.
You have to understand where he's coming from to
And there's
appreciate
also
what he does.
several storylines where there's a big connection between Frank Castle and Matt Murdock.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. So we have an official Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice synopsis. I'm going to go ahead and read it out. Fearing the actions of a godlike superhero left unchecked, Gotham City's own formidable, forceful vigilante takes on Metropolis's most revered modern-day savior, while the world wrestles with what sort of hero it really needs. And with Batman and Superman at war with another, a new threat quickly arises, putting mankind in greater danger than it's ever known before. All right, Greg, what are your thoughts on this synopsis for Batman v Superman?
It's more generic than I even thought it would be.
Right. I mean, it does basically say what the title tells us. Because it says Batman v Superman, which means that they're going to fight, and it says Dawn of Justice, so something's going to have to happen to bring the Justice League together.
Like, that synopsis literally does not provide us with any new information whatsoever.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't.
Other than they have a better thesaurus than I do. Like, that's the exact same synopsis that was in my head, just with prettier language.
Yeah, because, when I heard the title, I'm just like, all right, so Batman and Superman are going to fight, and then a bad guy's going to show up, and they're going to team together and take him out. Which is that's my synopsis of the movie, and this is just that.
The only thing, like, to me, like, the only way, like, what I would really love to see is essentially, at least, like, the first half of the movie is, like, kind of like, quote, the trial of Superman. He's kind of put on trial for being, for destroying two cities in the world, like, and killing, granted it's an alien, but still killing a humanoid being,
killing something,
And so essentially, kind of
a fly.
There's this
kill a fly trial.
How dare you destroy anything of ours? But then so like this.
You made a hole in the ground.
Way to get off the hook is this new threat that kind of Batman lets Superman go after.
Yeah, Jason, what are your thoughts?
But I totally agree with you guys about the comment. I really kind of wanted this movie to be just Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
I really thought when I first saw Dawn of Justice, it was basically Dawn of Batman coming back and him serving Superman justice.
Yeah.
I don't really want Doomsday. Doomsday's fine. He's a good character.
That's rumored.
Probably could have been. Yes, he is rumored, but he could make his own movie. Like, that could be his own movie. Doomsday could be his own movie, and this one could just be Batman and Superman fighting.
Well, what if this part of the synopsis says, with Batman and Superman at war with one another, a new threat quickly arises. What if that threat quickly arises like in the last, let's say, 30 to 20 minutes of the film, because it is Dawn of Justice, so maybe that could be like the lead into Justice League. How would you guys feel about that being the case?
I mean, that'd be a little more palatable, like, because this is
like,
this is a fanboy's dream to see Batman actually fighting Superman.
Yeah,
as in a like movie setting.
Yeah, and like you guys said, like, I want to see it be, kind of like a trial of Superman. Like, is he somebody that we need here on our planet? And we're going to go into the next topic on this. There's been some new promo images for Batman v Superman where they have these posters of Batman and of Superman that have a whole bunch of graffiti on it. And, like the posters I have in my room are very reminiscent of Public Enemies. These new promo images that are these posters of Batman and Superman kind of remind me of Public Enemies a lot. So I really enjoy what they're going for with these images that they're giving us. Jason?
Yeah, he's we see on the one Superman one, he's very polarizing. We saw that from the trailer. He's either a god or get the hell off our planet type thing. So, and Batman one was really cool to see because he's rumored to be retired.
Yeah,
and they kind of graffitied over his face and put an X in.
Yeah, and they were saying like they were saying like that Batman needs to take Superman. Like like the poster for Superman was very negative, and the poster for Batman was very positive as far as like graffiti from like I guess that graffiti is supposed to represent the public perception of these two beings.
And we got a great promo image too of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that was one.
They're kind of increasing her a little bit too in the fold. So it'll be really interesting to see how they kind of woven her in, and also Aquaman too.
Greg, what are your thoughts?
Again, it's kind of the same thing with the synopsis. They don't really give me anything new, and they look just very similar to the posters that you got at that IMAX event. Like, again, I don't feel like they're really giving us anything new.
Yeah, I mean, they're not giving us any new story details, but they're feeding the frenzy. They're feeding the flame of people who are getting very excited for this movie.
Right.
Like we mentioned earlier, we do know that Warner Brothers and DC will be at Comic-Con. They're supposed to have a kick-ass panel, so that's yet to be seen. But yeah, one more thing, kind of like with this Batman v Superman topic, before we move on to our next quick hit, is El Mayimbe was on AMC Heroes this past week, and he was talking with John Schnepp and John Campea about Batman v Superman, and John Schnepp was like listing off people who were in the movie, and then El Mayimbe said The Flash, like kind of like updating it, and then he said like in a tweet later, he's like, yeah, I kind of accidentally let something like slip.
Yeah.
That's a scoop. So go ahead and like check out the video, and that's the only thing that I could see from that video that I would see is something that he hasn't already talked about or hasn't already been talked about elsewhere. So it'd be interesting to see like how many characters that they actually sneak into Batman v Superman, which I don't know if I want the Flash to be in there. I kind of want to keep it at just Batman, Superman.
I would like to see just like his name written down,
and also kind of other thing I want to
or a reference.
I want to know is kind of like, okay, the public knows about Superman and Batman, but what do they know about the rest of these heroes? Like, do they know of Wonder Woman? Do they know of the Flash? Do they know of Aquaman?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
So like, I would like to see the posters that have them on it as well, or something like.
I wonder if, because they're talking about like the appearance of Superman. They've talked about this for a long time, that the appearance of Superman is going to be the catalyst to all these other superheroes coming out of the shadows. I wonder if, because Superman has shown up and some people consider him to be a superhero, like not everybody in the media, but some of them consider him to be a superhero, if these other individual cities, like, well, we have somebody at our city who's been doing stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And if that's how they're going to like try to like introduce some of these characters, like the Flash from the Flash from Central City. I was thinking of like Green Arrow from Starling. Yeah, because I want to see Green Arrow in this universe. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if that's how they kind of introduce us to these new characters from like a media perspective of what's happening. Yeah. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
And also something more than just like Bruce Wayne's computer that has like a data file or something.
Well, that would be interesting too, because you talk about like the animated movie Justice League Doom, where Batman has like a plan for each person in the Justice League. Like that'd be interesting if like he has like files and he's looking up stuff for Superman about kryptonite, and then you just see like on like a tab or on the right side or something that just like has like a list of like these like people. Yeah, it'd be super interesting. All right, moving on to the next topic. So there's a Ghostbusters reboot coming out that's all female, and Chris Hemsworth was just cast in it as the receptionist. Greg, you want to talk about this, so we'll start off with you.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
You really wanted to talk about this?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
We got into a little behind the scenes. We got into a great debate about what tops we're going to have.
Yeah, I'll ask you a question here in a little bit, but yeah.
But I grew up loving Ghostbusters, and so like
I love Ghostbusters too.
The idea of them bringing it back, I'm all for it, even if it is an all-female cast. Like, I know they're going to do a good job with it. And so, to see Chris Hemsworth, like, everybody's raving about his performance in the Vacation reboot. He's, like, stealing all these comedic scenes. It's like, to see him, again, kind of transition through all these different genres, starting in horror, doing drama, action, now comedy, like, and everybody's saying, like, he's doing so well. I'm really excited to see him do that. Plus, that could very easily lead into the spin-off of the new male version of Ghostbusters that, Channing Tatum and them were in discussions with doing as well.
All over your Tatum. Sorry, wrong show. All right, Jason, what are your thoughts on Chris?
Well, Greg's last point about it possibly going into the spin-off is the reason why, I'm buying him in this role. Because he basically stole that whole trailer when he was in the vacation trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the female cast, they got a couple SNL actresses and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll be good. Fingers crossed, though.
All right. So I don't have a problem with Ghostbusters being an all-female cast. And I don't have a problem with Chris Hemsworth being cast in this movie. I think that he is, like you said, he did steal he's just stealing the show with his vacation reboot. Supposedly, we'll wait until the movie comes out to know that for sure. My problem with this movie is with one actress, and her name is Melissa McCarthy. I cannot stand her, and I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I cannot stand her one bit. So when she was cast in this movie, I was like, nope, I'm done, because she, to me, is like the Paul Blart Mall Cop. Like, not even the good Kevin James, the bad one. So I have no interest in this movie whatsoever. I mean, it's going to have to show me something good. Like, the trailer's going to have to come out and just make me, like, die laughing for me to go see this movie. Like, for instance, I was interested in Tomorrowland, but I wasn't interested enough to go see it, and now that movie has lost $143 million. So, yeah, Chris Hemsworth in this role, fine. The reboot itself, not too thrilled with. But moving on to our next topic. This is a topic that Greg didn't want to talk about, but I wanted to talk about, so it's in here. We got news that the Avatar sequel now has a date of Christmas 2017. And the reason why I wanted to bring up this topic was because I personally enjoyed Avatar, and this sequel keeps being pushed back, it seems like. It keeps having delays or whatever. Jason, what are your thoughts on Avatar the sequel and the fact that the dates keep
are they shooting the next 3 movies? Are they shooting them all back to back to back?
That's what's been reported.
Just 2.
Just the 2?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I do that. They are shooting.
Are they doing like this sequel and then the next 2? I thought it was just
2 and 3 are being filmed together.
Okay. Because that's a long time to lock these actors and actresses in.
Yeah.
And especially keep moving it back. But in terms of the story, Avatar wasn't a miss for me, but I did enjoy it. It was a nice kind of spectacle movie, but it'll be interesting to see where Cameron goes with this. Does Sully have kids with? Does he have kids with?
I
can't think of her name.
Zoe Saldana's character.
But is he the leader of their group now? Do they move to a different tree? It's it's.
Do they find another huge
this is a problem
tree?
Because it's so long ago. It was 2009 it came out, 2009.
Yeah, something around like that.
I don't think the kind of fever is there. The wanting of this movie, especially keep moving it back.
Yeah,
you have to really. I mean, Cameron's going to have to really push for this marketing to get people to back in that Avatar craze that it was.
All right, Greg.
Could not care less about this.
I knew you were going to say this after I tore up Ghostbusters. Yeah.
So, it's the same. I said I thought that the original Avatar was all style and no substance, and I did not like the plot of it or how it was basically the directing of the acting.
The one problem I have with Avatar the movie, I will point it out because I'm not like a blind lover of the movie. Like, there was one line that I was just like, really? Where they were just like, yeah, so we're trying to get this mineral, and it's called unobtainium. Like, you couldn't come up with any other name for that mineral.
Is that worse than Transformium, though, in Age of Extinction?
It's on the same level. It's on the same level. Anyways, Greg, finish up because we have to...
and the other thing,
a couple topics pretty quickly.
Is, I really like it. I admit, it's a very beautiful movie, great looking.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to look just as good, if not better now.
Oh, yeah.
But just, I'm not sold on a James Cameron directed Avatar.
I'm just going to close off this topic with saying that the one thing that I loved about Avatar, maybe it didn't have the best story to it, but what it did was, for me, it was a brand new idea for a movie. It was very original, and it kind of, for me, it transported me to a different place, which I hadn't had that since I was like a kid for a movie. Like, even with the Marvel movies, which everybody knows I love, like, it didn't transport me to another place like Avatar did. Anyways, moving on to the next topics, we're going to cover these pretty quickly. We got new Ant-Man posters that are Avengers themed. So there's one with Captain America's shield, Iron Man's armor, and Thor's hammer. And basically it says, no hammer, no shield, no problem. Basically letting people know that Ant-Man is in the Avengers universe, but he's going to stand on his own, and it's going to have its own kind of take. Quickly, Jason.
That was great posters. I really did enjoy the posters, and it kind of gives people, when they go to the theaters now, they look up and say, hey, there's a little guy, and he's part of the Avengers.
Yeah. Greg?
I think their design great, the imagery is great, but just, I don't get excited by movie posters. Yeah. So it's just kind of eh.
I got more excited about there was like a whole slew of posters that released the week prior that were like really stylistic and really interesting. So those got me more excited than these. But it is kind of cool to see him like with Thor's hammer and kind of see him with those Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, it looks stylistically, it looks good. It's just even like those other posters, I really wasn't excited about those either. So.
Yeah. Last little quick hit is that Jurassic World. This is Sunday when we're filming this. Jurassic World is projected to have $204 million at the domestic box office, which will be second place all time, right behind Avengers, right in front of Avengers: Age of Ultron. They said if it has a strong Sunday, it will take over the top domestic box office of all time in front of Avengers. And with that, our quick hits are complete, and we are going to move on to the next topic. All right, and finally, we are going to go ahead and answer some of your guys' questions. So if you want to have your question answered on the show, make sure you are emailing us to movieverseonline@gmail.com. Also, you can send your questions through Twitter. If you tweet at us at Movieverse with the number 2, send in your questions, and you'll get them answered on the show. Also, you can always comment below and let us know what you think, what questions you have. There's a couple that I pulled out of the comments, a couple I pulled out of the email and Twitter. So we're going to go ahead with the first one. This one is from C. He says, here's a doozy for you guys. Wouldn't it be a hell of a twist if what we were watching in the DC universe, as far as the movies go, is the Injustice League? And I'm assuming you're talking about the Injustice Gods Among Us kind of storyline from the comics that was adapted from the video game. And he says, think about it. If Superman killed General Zod, something that Superman has never done to the best of my knowledge, and that's always been his weakness and his strength simultaneously, the Boy Scout who won't do what's wrong for the right reason, that would be mind-blowing and so very original. Keep up the good work. Thank you, C, for your question, and thank you for the compliment. I'll go ahead and answer this one first. I don't think they're going to go with a Injustice Gods Among Us style story for the DC universe, and the reason why I think that is because this is a Superman who is just starting off. The Injustice Superman had been around for a while, and then he finally basically just spoiler alert for the video game in the beginning of the comics, because it's been such a popular comic that has gone on with more stories now. But the premise of what happens to Superman is the Joker uses some of I think it was Scarecrow's like fear toxin to create hallucinations for Superman, and he basically thinks that Doomsday is attacking Earth, and so he basically he kills Doomsday, or he doesn't kill him, but he starts fighting Doomsday. And then when he comes out of his hallucination, he just killed Lois with his unborn child. And so he basically like loses his mind and tries to take, basically he doesn't try, he does take over the Earth, and it's kind of like Superman's the ruler. So I don't think they're going to do that, because this is a newer Superman, which he killed because he didn't think he had another choice. He didn't kill like further in his career or whatever, like the Injustice storyline. So, Jason, what are your thoughts?
No, I do have to agree with you, because if you go back to that scene when he does kill General Zod, Zod is literally about to kill a family of people. And, I mean, he, like you said, he has no choice to do it. And it's so early in his time with his, fleshing out his powers that the world finally knows who he is.
Yeah.
That it's not something like he had been doing this for a long time, and then he decided to kill Zod. He literally, and this leads to the fallout of Batman vs Superman as well too. So that's a great kind of question and great idea, but with this starting, Zack Snyder's literally started with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, and I think that they are using Injustice themes in the movie. Like we did our Batman v Superman trailer reaction. I pointed out that there was some guards that Superman is standing in front of, and they kind of bow down, and they have like a Superman like patch on their sleeves. So I think that there will be like the world that they're creating is like it's kind of split down the middle between whether or not they like Superman or whether they think he should leave the planet. So they're going to have themes in there from people who are like diehard followers, and then some who don't follow him at all. Greg, what are your thoughts on this question?
I didn't actually play the game, but I did research on the actual Injustice comic series, like the actual Injustice League, and like almost all those things revolve some kind of mind control or like hallucinogens. So again, like just like you're saying, this universe they've created as it is right now. You mean to tell me that this gang of supervillains somehow already mind controlled Superman before we even really knew who he was?
What if General Zod, because you talk about that that scene where General Zod is like inside Superman's mind, and you know, kind of like trying to see if he will turn to the bad side or whatever. What if General Zod like implanted something for Superman to like kill? I doubt that's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of like stuff that you could think about.
So again, it's just kind of, it would be a good premise, but again, like, you know, we don't really have any other villains established in this universe.
Yeah,
you know, Spider-Man just showed up on the scene.
Spider-Man.
My bad. Superman.
Batman. What a movie, though. Spider-Man just comes swinging in.
Spider-Man v Superman.
I meant Superman.
Donald Spiderwebs.
I meant Superman. Like, we're just getting introduced to him. The idea is that Batman has been existing for a while. Then, again, we don't know what the status is of these other superheroes. So it's like, as their universe stands right now, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next question. C, thank you for your question. We're moving on, a question from Chris. He says, hey guys from Movieverse, usually when a Marvel movie is coming out, all of my friends and family are looking forward to it, but this time with Ant-Man, no one I know wants to see it. I thought maybe it was because it is a new property, but then I remembered everybody wanting to see Guardians of the Galaxy. Does this mean that Marvel has a flop on their hands? Greg, what are your thoughts?
Well, it depends on your definition of flop.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, so is it going to make the like $300-$500 million domestically, like, you know, some of the other movies have? No, but I think it could still easily make about, you know, $180 to $200 million domestically, which would put it, you know, 8th or 9th in the pecking order of box office domestically. But, you know, guess what else is down there? Both Thor movies. Yeah. So, like, you know,
even Captain America: The First Avenger, I don't think was that big of a success box office.
When you look at box office, the lowest is Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Then Captain America, First Avenger, then the first Thor movie, and then Thor: Dark World.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's, you know, I think it's going to fall around that $100 to $200 million domestic mark. The production budget's probably around $170 million. You know, like most of the Marvel movies are. So it's going to make all of its money back domestically. Then when you add in the foreign box office, it's still going to be a very profitable movie for Marvel and Disney.
Jason?
I don't know. It's such, like you said, it's just a hard thing to define what flop really means. You know, is this going to be like an Iron Man 2 where it kind of just not a whole lot of people really liked? Or is it going to be like an Incredible Hulk, which not a lot of people liked. Very few people liked. But I think this movie is going to catch fire. I really do. You know, you threw in that comment about Guardians of the Galaxy, but you got to, I mean, look at the cast that they had for that movie.
Yeah.
They really also pushed. Guardians in the trailers, they very much made it feel like a Star Wars / Indiana Jones movie, which we haven't had a good one of those in 30 plus years.
Yeah. But I mean, this movie's not going to, I don't think it's going to have that big of an opening weekend, but I think when the reviews start coming through, I don't think it's going to catch fire like a movie like American Sniper did, you know, where it's just broke all the records. You know, this movie's
I think
not
it could be like a Kingsman style run where it's like, you know, kind of starts off well and kind of just sticks around.
It just kind of lingers there. But flop, I don't think it's going to. It's not going to be, you know, the best Marvel movie.
Yeah,
obviously.
You know, I think, you know, I don't think it's going to make Avengers money, obviously. But I do think, I mean, if you want to go by, you know, what's a flop? If I would say for Marvel, if it makes under, I would say if it makes under 500 million worldwide, I wouldn't necessarily call it a flop for them, but I think it would be underperforming for them. I think if it makes 500 million, 400 million maybe, it would probably you know, hit their expectations. But I think like you said, with, you know, once people see it and they like it, it might catch fire. And I think that all comes down to you know, the rewrites that they did from Edgar Wright. And I know that a lot of people are kind of like, you know, disappointed that they can't see Edgar Wright's vision of the movie. But for me, I don't have a problem with that because obviously that means that Edgar Wright's vision for the movie was different from what Marvel wants their cinematic universe to go to, which makes sense because Edgar Wright wrote that back before Iron Man 1 came out. So it only makes sense that, you know, since that movie was originally written, the atmosphere and kind of how they do their movies would change. Would change. So I think it all comes down to the rewrites that were done by Paul Rudd and the other guy. It all comes down to like their rewrites. And
Adam McKay wrote.
Paul Rudd and Adam McKay did the rewrites on it. So it comes down to like what they did with the movie and how they act in it. I mean, as long as it's a fun adventure and it has plenty of jokes in it, which I think it will, I think it'll be very successful because it knows that it can't take itself too seriously because it is a movie called Ant-Man. All right, so Chris, thank you for your question. Moving on to the next one from Corey Scott. He says, hey, what do you think of, say, a younger actor playing Batman for the solo films with Ben Affleck directing when the time comes? I would say, man, that's an interesting question. Yeah, because, I mean, they could go that way, but if they did go that way, I would rather them do that. Like, I would rather them do a trilogy with Ben Affleck as Batman and then move on to having Bruce Wayne mentor a younger, version of Batman, and it could be called Batman Beyond. I would love to see a Batman Beyond movie. So I would love to see Ben Affleck as Batman for a trilogy, which they could do. They could do like they could do 3 movies in, I don't know, 5, 6 years, and then kind of like move on. He could still direct the movie and then also play Bruce Wayne mentoring this younger, Batman character. I think that'd be really interesting, Greg.
I think that is kind of how exactly they would do it is, well, not necessarily the Ben Affleck solo one, but the solo ones are going to be Ben Affleck mentoring the next Batman.
You think?
I think because I've heard several rumors, like, especially with the set photos of Batman popping up in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Ben Affleck's Batman, pop up in the rest of the DC character movies.
Yeah.
So then also give him the Terry McGinnis storyline for Batman Beyond. He gets thrown into this because Joker's gang goes and like kills his family. So the way that they make the Joker look, and like especially with the way like the posters and promotional things look for Dawn of Justice, like it looks very kind of like gang oriented.
Yeah.
Which could very easily be the Joker's gang.
Yeah.
And so that would throw Terry McGinnis in the path of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And so you leave the solo films to develop Terry McGinnis as Batman.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem that I have with your theory is that I kind of want to see Ben Affleck's Batman have a trilogy because, not only just because of Batman, but also because of the supporting characters that are around the Batman character. Like, I want to see, we have another comment that we're going to shout out later, but you talk about like Nightwing, and then you talk about Jason Todd, and then you talk about I forget the female Robin's name that's from The Dark Knight Returns. I want to see those type of characters surround themselves, because we did have Batman and Robin that had the Robin character and Batgirl in it, but I think that we could do a better job with those characters now, so I would love to see that type of trilogy because of those supporting characters. Jason?
No, but that would be actually a great idea to have, this Ben Affleck Batman, Bruce Wayne mentoring, a younger version of himself. But when I first heard that Ben Affleck was cast as Bruce Wayne, my first thought is, well, he's a great director.
They casted him to be Bruce Wayne.
Right.
They necessarily casted him to be Batman.
Right. And then, but he pretty much acts better in the movies that he directs himself in as well, too. So that's the first kind of envisioning I had of him directing his own Batman films. And seeing him now in his suit, I want a whole trilogy of him as Batman.
Yes. I mean, especially that suit. It's that classic gray and black suit.
Yes.
And I just, I
agree with you. I think they would be good, and like I would like to see that, but I'm saying more on a practical standpoint. They probably wouldn't do a standalone Ben Affleck trilogy.
All right. Yep. All right. So, Corey, thank you for your question. I hope we answered it to your liking. Now we just have a couple comments that I just wanted to shout out. I liked them, so I pulled them from our comments section down below. So this comes from Brent's friend. It says, I'm also here. I guess he's responding to another comment that was down below. He says, I'm also here because AMC is having so many behind-the-scenes drama. But once I found you guys, I'm really liking your channel and your movie news podcast. Thanks for posting and keep up the good work. Thank you for that amazing compliment. I am blown away by the fact that people are actually like using us as a replacement to AMC Movie Talk. That's crazy because...
Also, have you mentioned that our podcast for this news program is available on iTunes to download now?
I have not mentioned that live, but thank you, Greg.
It is available. You can go to iTunes and just search Movieverse.
Yep, and so yeah, if you search Movieverse on iTunes, our podcast will show up. Look for our logo. You can click, and we've been taking the audio from our movie news segments and putting them into podcast form. That way, if you guys are at work and you can't watch YouTube on your phone at work, but you can listen to your phone, you can find us on iTunes, or you can also find us on Stitcher Radio for you Android folks. You just go to Stitcher Radio, search Movieverse, and you can also get our podcast there. But yes, thank you for that great compliment, and the fact that you come from AMC Movie Talk to come and see our channel is amazing to me. And then our last comment comes from CCrisp93, and they say, depending on how long the DCU goes on for and also how long Affleck is involved with the universe, I would like to see Nightwing and Oracle, then later down the line Red Hood and either Damian Wayne, Robin, or Terry McGinnis for Batman Beyond. I think it would be interesting as both Oracle and Robin, Jason Todd, have been injured or killed by the Joker, which plays into a more violent and antagonistic relationship between Batman and Joker. Also, Nightwing has been in relationships with Barbara in the past, who's Batgirl. So yeah,
and also Oracle,
and also Oracle. So yeah, that's ultimately what I want to see from this new Batman trilogy that hopefully we will get with Ben Affleck playing Batman, because I don't even know if it's actually been officially confirmed that Ben Affleck will be directing the movies, but I think the word of mouth and everybody who kind of knows information about what's going on thinks that's the case. So I would love to see Ben Affleck in his own movies, like he did great in Argo and The Town and all those. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see all these supporting characters around Batman, because the Batman universe in the comic books is so rich with years and years and years of storytelling and character development inside the Batman books that have gone off into their own books. I think it'd be amazing to see on the big screen. So CCrisp93, thank you for your comment. Brett's friend, thank you for your comment as well. That's going to do it for this episode of Movieverse Movie News. This is episode 6, and like Greg, we just mentioned, if you want to find an audio version of our podcast, you can go into the link of our description. We'll have a link there. You can also go to iTunes and search for Movieverse, and also search for us on Stitcher Radio, and you will find an audio-only version of this podcast. As always, like this video, comment down below what you think about any of these topics that we discussed today. Don't only discuss it with us, but also, my goal for this channel is to create a awesome community, which we are off to a very good start. You guys give us very good questions and comments every week. So yeah, start, talking amongst yourselves too. And we will, this whole channel is about just not necessarily like analyzing the news, but just talking about it and what we like about the stuff, and kind of go from there. So I love to get your guys' opinions on all this stuff. So go ahead and blow up our comment section of this video. And as always, if you like what you see here on Movieverse, subscribe to Movieverse, and we will catch you guys on the next video.